Hey there, welcome to the table. So I've recorded 3 times now this introduction to the Hornet Leader and actually all the DVG Air Leader expansions. I haven't been happy with any of them because I get long-winded and blah blah blah, which is something I always do. But let me start off by saying this is a video where I'm going to introduce you to the Air Leader expansions, and I'm not going to actually do any playthrough. So that's one of the things I know I left out in previous recordings that I deleted that I want to make sure I get out right away. So if you're here and you're continuing to listen, this is just information. That's nothing, there's going to be no actual gameplay, okay? So with that being said, I am actually going to play some games, some of these air expansions. I just don't know which one yet. And I think Hornet Leader is going to be one of the first ones. I really love Hornet Leader, as you all know, so it's probably going to make the cut. I just haven't decided what to do yet. So with that said, the Air Leader expansions are for Hornet Leader, as I mentioned, the Phantom Leader, which is there, the Israeli Air Force Leader, and B-17. So to summarize what we received, it's very simple. Hornet Leader, Phantom Leader, and Israeli Air Force Leader got the exact same content, with the exception of course, you know, if I got new pilots for Hornet Leader, I got new pilots for Israeli Air Force Leader, and you know, and obviously they each got their own set of missions, you know, stuff like that. I mean, it's not exactly the same content, but it's the same type of content. Let's put it that way. And it's all summarized really nicely in the rule sheet that came with it. Every single one of them got new skills. Okay, Hornet Leader and I believe Phantom Leader never had skills before, but now they do. They have a nice little skill chart, and they got new skills. Israeli already had skills. In fact, that was the game I think that introduced them, but DVG replaced them, or enhanced them, if you will. So the skill sheet's going to be replaced with whatever the new one is. Okay, we got elite pilots now, and I'll talk about those in a second, but those were added to all 3. We got new counters to determine whether it's the pilot was ready or acted. So just informational. New counters to determine whether it's okay, the pilot is okay, shaken, or unfit. And new counters for damaged and destroyed pilots, which, as you know, Jeff never intends to use because we never let ourselves get destroyed. And then probably one of the more interesting surprises, because I have to confess, I backed it and didn't pay attention to everything that was in the expansion, just because I love Hornet Leader. So it's like, boom, I find DVG, take my money, right? They give us alternate targets. So there's a deck of 1 to 60 in the original game of targets. There is now another deck of 1 to 60 of the exact same named targets, but the information within was changed. So you're going to have like a completely different experience with the new deck. That's going to help with replayability. I personally don't think I needed it, but now that I have it, I was like, yeah, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Okay. And then the last thing is they gave, you know, some special resource cards. Like these are special type of pilots for Hornet Leader. With Phantom and Israeli, they have special stuff that was added to those as well. That makes sense for the type of era that those games cover. Israeli, of course, spans like a whole 100 years, I think, whereas Phantom is very specific to Vietnam, and Hornet Leader spans several decades, but you know, it's more after Vietnam generally. So, with that being said, that by itself covers the Air Leader expansions for 3 of the 4 games. Now, the B-17, in case you're not aware, it's raging on Board Game Geek right now. They came out with some new scenarios, and I don't have the stuff out of the box yet right now, so I'm not going to show you the B-17 stuff yet. But one of the main new scenarios that came with it lets you get city maps, and you can bomb cities, and there's actual rules for going in and damaging targets within a city. And then you score victory points for that or something to that order. The problem is that those city maps were not included in in the game. So I'm laughing because it's just comical that they left out the most critical component of their expansion. But I don't know. Ever since I let some of you folks talk me into trying war games, it's been a ride, because Euro games just don't do these kind of mistakes. They just really don't. And I don't know why, whether it's Compass Games, Academy, it doesn't matter who we talk about. They just make mistakes like this, always. And the only thing I can say is I know Dean Brown, at least at somewhat of a personal level. He's a good guy. He definitely is going to pressure DVG to make it right. And I know that DVG has, any time in the past, always made something like this right. So as much as it can be frustrating, etc., I'm really hard on people. I was really hard on Flying Fortress Games for their component quality, but largely because they gave me a price point that was way higher than I was expecting, for the component quality that I received. That I just feel like I was ripped off. With DVG, yes, they charged me for something. They didn't give me what they said they were supposed to give me. I get all that. I understand it's frustrating, but I have complete faith that DVG is going to fix this. I mean, it's almost like when something bad happens to you in life, and whatever divine power you believe in, you just place your faith in that you're going to get through it and you're going to be okay. It's that same kind of feeling I have about DVG when it comes to these types of mistakes. They're certainly not a divine power, but maybe that was a bad analogy. I don't know, but it's the same level of faith. I just believe that it's going to work out fine. But it does mean that for at least a brief period of time, we're going to have to be patient. So I'm not covering B-17 right now because the Air Leader expansion is not complete. And I could show you what's already in it, but we'll just wait on that. So I know I bundled the other 3 games together, but I cannot stress enough to you, they literally were the exact same expansion. It's just that the content is unique for each one. So speaking of that, let's talk about the unique content for this. One other thing, every single expansion received this attack run, which is a variant. So that way when you're bombing over a target, if you're bombing over a target in the base game, you just roll your dice and see if you hit. Now you can try to do different types of bombing, like you can bombard, you can do a precision delivery, etc. And if you do, you can, for example, on the wire, can reduce your stress. So if you have a high stress pilot, you can choose to do a bomb run that's going to actually cause their stress to go down. But you're probably going to end up lowering the amount of damage you do or the amount of tack in your roll, so there's a bigger chance you're going to miss your target. Unless you roll a perfect 10. This column over here is a perfect 10 column. That's the unicorn column. So anyways, I think it's an interesting expansion. You don't have to do this. It's just a variant. And then if you choose to do this variant, which gives you a lot of choices here, the enemy, their sight attacks, when they attack you, they get a bonus to their attack based on what combat turn it is. So all 3 of them got the exact same sheet. And so whether you're playing Israeli, Phantom, or Hornet, you're going to have that. Now, diving into the actual Hornet Leader stuff itself, I think they gave 4 or 5 new missions. There's and of course I mixed them up and I'm already forgetting which ones are which. But let me move some of my cards aside here so I can get to them. The first one I want to highlight, well, this one I'm going to do last. They gave us Yugoslavia, which is another introductory mission. I don't have anything to say about it other than I really like the fact that they catered to the people who are still trying to learn the game. Everybody does the Iraq mission first, and now there's at least another mission to try if you're not ready to try something harder yet. You at least have some variety. So I applaud that. No issues there. There's a Syria mission, which is called Operation Nightfall. The interesting thing about the Syria mission that I noted was it's a 2013 mission, It's the year before the stealth fighters were allowed to be used. But basically, it lets you use everything else in the game, and it's considered an advanced mission. And I don't know if anything else that jumped out to me in this one, but even a long campaign is only a week, but you get quite a few SO points. A week is not very long for this, but anyways, it's another mission that came with it. Now I'm going to get to the two that I found most interesting. This one I'm going to zoom in a bit, and it's called it's the Antarctica Mission. And if you'll notice, there's only one target. And it's an underground bunker that if you look up the target cards, whether it's the alternate or the original, it's an underground bunker that has like 11 hit points. And it's a single day mission, and you start with 5 SO points for the entire mission. So a couple of things. The event cards are pre-chosen, so you don't randomly choose event cards. They're pre-chosen for the scenario. And you're restricted where you can only fly at low altitude. So there's none of this flying at high altitude so you can avoid the bandits or the sights, stuff like that. So I thought this was a really interesting mission. In my previous videos that I deleted, I talked way too much on this one. Let me just cut to the chase. This is the perfect mission for the Marines. Because if you know, they have Nap of the Earth with their Harrier jets, and Nap of the Earth gives them a huge bonus if they're flying at low altitude. So the Marines never really were able to enjoy, avoiding sights. So perfect mission for those Harriers. And then the other thing is if you take Harriers in your mission, you get extra SO points because, since they're, outdated equipment or not the in-demand equipment, I don't know what the right wording is, you actually gain SO points for taking them into your squad. So you can go from 5 SO points to 50 if you take 8 Harriers and add them to your crew. So a perfect mission for a Marine situation, more so than the non-Marines. And the year is 1999, so I don't know if there's anything special about that one. Most of the Hornets are available to you, but if you did want to go non-Marine, but anyways, I think it's a really cool Marine mission. The last comment I'll make about it is these games do take a while to set up, and to have a one-day mission is silly. Like my reason why I wouldn't play this is because the amount of time it would take to set up and then actually do, it would be more than the actual enjoyment I would get out of trying the mission. But it does pique my curiosity that they did something crazy like this. This is definitely a crazy one. So I'm going to set that off to the side. And then the last one, which I'm saving for last here, this is probably the one I'll end up playing. It's a World War III North Atlantic 1980. And you'll notice I got out the World War III North Atlantic 1986. This is the one I actually did a video playthrough earlier, a couple years ago. I actually did a video playthrough and showed how to beat this one. We actually completely annihilated it. I got the great rating, I think several days before the final day. I can't remember all the details, but it is a very challenging mission, but we did it. Well, North Atlantic 1980 is another very challenging. It's an expert mission, and because of the year is 1980, none of the Hornets are available. So that's the key thing that jumped out to me. This one has to be done fully with Tomcats and intruders. So no Hornets are available at all. The Hornets came out in 1983. So this one went really far back because like you can see here with the Lebanon mission, which I think may also be new. That's the part I can't remember. You can see the year is 1983. That's on purpose because that's when the Hornets become available. So this one went back in time, like a hot tub time machine, and it's labeled expert. I think largely for that reason, because you can't use any Hornets, so you don't have the versatility that you used to be able to have. It's also a 15-day excursion, whereas the other one was only like 12, and you only start with 27 SO points, whereas the other one you started with 54. Huge difference. The one thing I will say, though, is that your first 6 SO points is free each day, whereas in the other one, there were no free SO points. So if you wanted to use a special weapon, you had to pay for it every time. Whereas here, you don't have to pay for it. So that partly explains why the 27 is lower, but it doesn't, you still need to get your pilots and buy them and all that other stuff. So anyways, that's that. The last thing I want to talk about, I'm trying to be quick on this part, is we need to go over the elite pilots. And then I was also, I did an analysis of all the new pilots in the game. As you know, this game happens to be my little treasure. I do really like this game, and I can share this with you. I have this thing that I wrote. It's chicken scratch, I know, but I went through every single type of plane in the game. So there's Hornet C, you can see right there, 1983. The Hornet E, the Hornet F, all the stealth, which needs to be 2014. The Growlers, down here is the Prowlers, the Tomcats, the Intruders, the Corsairs, there's the Prowlers, the AWACS, I even evaluated them, and then the Harriers. Every single pilot in the game, I gave them a grade, not an ABC grade, but so what I did was I would put a square around the one that I felt was the best. So the best Hornet E is Tigger. And then I would explain why I thought they were the best. And then Doc and Scout. And then for the Hornet C, it's Bear, Hunter, Cowboy, and Mustang. And so that's what I would do. And then Talon here, he goes from noob to veteran in 18 experience points, which is amazing. So that's the kind of stuff that I document. So then when I play this game, I'm going to be able to come out and pick the right pilots, and because there's a lot of pilots choices in this game. And in fact, I believe in my system so much that the pilots that I put into the never pick list, like these ones over here, and then even with the Hornets, I have never pick ones. I actually created a separate list and put them in a separate bag so I don't even get them out anymore. So, what is Jeff's trick to dominating DVG leader games? And this is true with all the leader games. Maybe B-17 is slightly different, but I still apply the same techniques. First thing is I mentioned that Mustang is one of my favorites. So what I think about is that most pilots can achieve average pretty early in the game. I mean, even if you're a newbie or whatever, average is where you spend most of your game time. Yes, they eventually do become an ace, but that could be at the very tail end of the game. So their stats at average are very important to me. And so here you can see Mustang has a +2 air to ground, which is phenomenal. If you get out all your pilots and you compare them, you're not going to see a +2 air to ground for that. So that's one of the reasons I really like this pilot. The other thing is I really value cool stat, and most of these pilots are going to be some combination of SA points, cool, slow or fast, and then their numbers here, right? And usually you're not going to find a pilot that has all of them, right? Or if they do, then their experience points take forever to level up or something, right? There's always some drawback to a pilot. But Mustang gets +2 by average. So that means I'm benefiting from enhanced die rolls very early in the game. And if I start him off as average from the very start of the game, I can have an awesome pilot from the start. And then, of course, you want to look at their ace. And you can see when he becomes an ace, he becomes a perfect +3. He has a awesome 2 cool, which is unheard of. And he has 2 SA points. His only drawback is he's not fast. But the 2 SA points tend to overcome that, because you can spend an SA point to make him go fast if you really needed it. So Mustang is by far my favorite pilot, my favorite Hornet pilot in the game. He's just, to me, the perfect pilot for what I want to do. I also have Cowboy and Bear, who are, you can see Cowboy at average has a +2 and 1 cool. And then by the time he becomes an ace, he does not become +3. That's his drawback. But he has everything else, and he's +2 at an average level. And so Cowboy is an awesome one. Bear, same issue. Bear has a +1/+1 on both sides, and then 1 cool by average. And then whenever he becomes an ace, he's an anti-air, air-to-air expert, which you do need one. You need a Hornet that can take out enemy air, and not all of them be air-to-ground, right? So his cool is a little low. He never gets any SA points, but he is fast, which is what you want when you're shooting bandits out of the sky. So Bear is my air-to-air specialist, and I never leave home without him. So why did I go through all that? Well, there were some new ones that came in the game, and we can talk about those. What did I do with them? Oh gosh. I know I have them here. Okay, I found them. All right, so what we got here is, the first up is Taco. This came new with the expansion, and so using the Jeff test, go to average, and you see he's -1, 0. That's poor. That's not very good. And then if you go to his ace, maybe he redeems himself. He does excellent SA, excellent cool, and he's +1/+2. So I would say he's maybe average. I mean, there's nothing that's, well, he stinks, to be quite honest. The other ones are better. You know, you got to wait until ace to get a +2. I mean, that's awful. And so his ranking is he's a fish taco. He stinks. So he's going into my stink pile. Next up is Tooth. And I discovered that he's really long on the Tooth because same issues, +0/+0. He does have an SA point. He needs a ridiculous number of experience points, 7, 10, and then whenever he's look at this, 13. I mean, you'll never get ace with this guy. And then on top of that, his stats are not even +3. Really decent here, okay there. And so long in the Tooth, gone. So Tooth goes in the trash for me. So next up is Nerve. So will they have the nerve to be in our squad? So what I found about this one is Nerve, I think they had a DVG tongue-in-cheek moment. Because remember, you gain stress in this game, right? And so that gets on your nerves. Or if you have nerves of steel, you're immune to it. His cool value is super high, but his stats aren't. And then by the time he becomes an ace, his cool value is still very high, and then he has very poor stats. So my assessment so far is that Nerve, Tooth, and Taco they're in my trash list. I really don't find them to add anything to the game. Now, obviously, if you're randomizing your guys, because some people do play that way, where they randomize who's going to be in the mission, that will add more to it. It'll definitely make some things more challenging, but that's about all it will do. Okay, so then next is the elite guys, which I said I would talk about a little bit more later, but here's an example of an elite guy. First of all, you're always going to see the medal. That's how you know they're elite. And then what they're going to have is they have 2 skills that are like built in. But in order to get this elite guy, you have to spend 18 SO points if you're doing a long, 12 for medium, 6 for... And then the price sometimes changes. Like if you're willing to get them at a newbie level, sometimes the price is cheaper. But for this guy, it's not. So let's do the standard Jeff test. At average, he's +1/+1. That's good. And he has 1 cool. Also good. There's really nothing to complain about from a stat perspective. Now, his skills, Relief and Wingman. Relief is if he destroys 3 or more sites or bandits during a mission, all other pilots flying this mission suffer 1 less stress. And it says all other pilots, that means not himself, but everybody else will get 1 less stress. And then Wingman is he gains experience every time he suppresses the enemy. So this is one of those suppression guys, which if you followed my playthrough, I went through a detailed explanation that I don't like suppressing in this game. I'd rather kill than suppress. But with that being said, there is a time and a place where suppression really works. And my method might be a little bit riskier, but I also score more points doing what I do. Whereas you're running the risk of not scoring enough points if you do suppression too much. But with that being said, suppression works. And I think the game is designed to go either way. And I was just able to show how you do it without doing suppression. But Wingman is all about getting experience points with suppression. And what I found that DVG did with these new guys is the amount of experience points that you need to level up from one to the next is very high, although this one is actually more reasonable than some of the other ones I've seen. Like this one's only 2 and then 4. I mean, that's at least in a realm of reasonability. 9, I mean, it's not uncommon to see a 9, I guess, at veteran. But some of these, when you see the Wingman where they get extra experience points, DVG just made it so they need that many extra experience points to level up. So at the end of the day, you didn't gain anything. With this one, though, you do. But he's an elite, and that's, I think, the issue. So you're paying 18 SO points for this guy, so surely you shouldn't be punished because he has the Wingman ability. Now, one thing about these elite guys that I didn't mention because I skimmed through it real quick in the beginning is they can get 2 more skills. Like, every pilot has a limit of 2 skills. You can't have more than 2 skills for any pilot. This one comes with 2 skills already, and then you can add 2 more. So that's the part where the elite guys are elite. And I also wanted to mention that as an ace, +2/+2, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's also not the best either. But overall, there's nothing that you can say is bad about this guy. Like, I called the other ones trash because comparatively speaking, they are. This one, comparatively speaking, is at least a very decent pilot to have. I just wouldn't pay 18 SO points for it. And that's the reason why this one falls off my list. So, no guano on this one. Okay, so then we come to axe. So will the axe fall on this guy? We will find out. So using our, first of all, he costs 15 SO points. And he's the same price pretty much throughout. So this one, at average, has a +1/+1. That's very good. And 1 cool, also good. And then by the time he's ace, he gets +3/+3, which is overkill, by the way. Usually you only need +3 in one of the 2. But the fact, I mean, basically this guy does everything. And he does get 2 cool. Here's the issue, though. He's slow and he gets no SA points. So that's his Achilles heel. His 2 skills, Brave. Brave is, he gains an experience point for every point of stress that he suffers from a bandit or sight attack. So he's going to level up a little quicker. And then Relief is, again, if he destroys 3 or more, we just covered that one. Again, this guy, I have no complaints about him. His skills are all where you want them to be. I mean, the fact that he's slow in this is a bit of an issue, but you can overcome that. But it's 15 SO points, folks. I would never pay it. So that's my assessment on this. I would never pay 15 SO points for those skills on that pilot. And then we get to the last guy, Garr. So I'm just pulling up his cards. So at average, it's +1/+1 with 1 cool. And then he has a +1 cool here, which means he actually has 2 cool. And look at his price. It's only 9. That's way cheaper than the other ones. And then if you get him at a newbie level, oh, it's still just 9. But 9 is way cheaper than 15. So we're starting to talk turkey here. So no complaints. I just crashed. I got to get out one of those damaged or destroyed markers now. But here he is at ace. He has 2 cool plus another cool, right? So it's 3 cool, +3/+3. His stats are amazing. but the same issue of 0 SA points and slow. And then he gains another skill called Agile, which is he may go evasive without suffering any stress. So the chances of him taking damage are low. Again, no complaints. And if there was ever one that I would pay for, it would be this one, because he only costs 9. And to be quite honest, his skills and abilities are better than the other two, and he doesn't cost as much as the other two. So I don't know why those other two are weighted so much higher by DVG, but I would never buy the other two. I would maybe buy this one if I was to buy one at all. However, I probably wouldn't buy this one either. So that's my assessment so far of these elite pilots. Now, we got a bit more, because as you know, that World War III campaign was all Tomcats and intruders and anything that was before. We can't use any of those pilots for the new World War III campaign that came out. So let me show you the 2 best Tomcats, at least according to the way I rate things. The first one is Teflon. So this is all base game stuff, right? Before the expansion arrived. Tomcats are for anti-air only. Who cares about their air-to-ground? I get a +1 at average. I have 1 cool and 1 situational awareness. This is the perfect guy for taking down bandits. Teflon is amazing. And then we get to Ace, and he gets to a perfect +3, 2 cool, 1 SA, and he's fast. You can't complain about Teflon. Teflon is best of the best of the original crew. And then Farm Boy is my second one that I always take. He doesn't get any advantages at average, but there's also no disadvantages, which still means he's better than most. His cool is 1, his SA is 1, so he's already good. And then by the time he becomes an ace, he has a whopping 3 SA, 1 cool, and +3, just like you would want. So those are my 2 tried and true. I take them in anytime I do a campaign that lets me take in Tomcats. So let's talk about Tomcats real quick, because they have new ones that came with the game. So the first one here is Maestro. Maestro has really high level up numbers, but look at this, +2 air to air. That's really good. And it only takes 3 experience points to go to skilled, which then puts him at +2 and fast. Maestro has an amazing average. The only issue is his cool is gone, but if you're willing to spend 3 SO points, now you can get a +1 cool skill. And then if you go to Ace, he does eventually get his cool. He's +3 as you would expect. He's fast and an SA. He has the full package. Maestro is music to my ears. In fact, I think I would maybe replace Farm Boy with him. I don't know. Farm Boy has the 3 SA. But anyways, he's a wonderful addition. So if I'm doing the World War III North Atlantic, I might need more than 2 Tomcats, right? Because normally I only take 2. But I also have Hornets and other stuff that I mix in. With this particular mission where I can't get any Hornets, I might take a 3rd, and Maestro is definitely a candidate for that. He stays in the plus list. He's on the honor roll. And then Sticky. Is this going to be a sticky situation? We will soon find out. His cool is amazing. Look at that. +1, just as good, if not better than Farm Boy, right? That's actually better than Farm Boy's rating. So Sticky is looking great. And then we go to Ace, and he's +3, just like Farm Boy is. He has 2 cool and 2 situational awareness. And if we compare that to Farm Boy at Ace, the only thing, he's better or equal in every category except for situational awareness, so I'm just going to give up 1 situational awareness for Sticky, who at average, as you can compare, is better at average, has more cool. Sticky, in my opinion, replaces Farm Boy as my number 2. So those 2, as much as I just poo-pooed on all the Hornets that came with the game, the Tomcats that came with the game are amazing. And now let's get into the elite Tomcats. We got a few of those as well. And, one second. So with the elite Tomcats, we have this one with Fresh Eyes. And Fresh Eyes says he adds +4 to his first anti-air roll of the mission. So we're talking green here, okay, or noob. Well, you can even go to the noob, right? This is the worst experience level. He has fresh eyes, so he gets to add +4 to an already +1. He gets a +5. Now, granted, it's only to his very first roll, but sometimes one bandit is all you need to take out, right? Because they all get to shoot once, right, in each combat round. And then, after that, then you get to shoot again. But he has a +1 at a newbie level, and this becomes a +5 for the very first one. Holy amazeballs. And then if you go to his average, he's already +3. And so now we're talking turkey. And then he even gets Maverick, which Maverick for him is he gets the freely add to mission thing. So he doesn't even count against your mission limit. You can just bring him every week as an extra pilot on a mission. This is an amazing elite pilot. And he already has one cool. Now here's the thing. You can see here 15 SO points. But if you get him as a newbie, it's only 12. So here's a case where it's cheaper, right? So if you get him as a newbie, he's only 12. His price goes up if you want to get him higher. But right there. And then when he becomes an ace, I mean, he was already +3 at average. And really nothing improved other than he gets 1 SA point. So who cares if he ever becomes an ace? Just average alone is all you need. And he can be freely added to any mission for 12 SO points. That's still a stiff price, folks. 12 SO points is a lot of SO points. But he may be worth it. Let's just put it that way. So anyways, I think that this is one where you may want to consider it. And remember, you can always take these Harriers. By taking these Harriers, these Marine jets, it gives you 12 SO points. See that there? That's not a typo. You get 12 SO points if you take Dino here. So maybe you take some crappy stuff, and then you can take some of those elite guys to go with it, and that'll help you pay for it, so you don't feel like you're out of SO points all the time. And then, so that guy, totally amazing, just pricey. That's all. And who was it? That was Thumper, right? Yes, that was Thumper. So I totally recommend Thumper. And then I forgot to talk about Coffee. Coffee at a newbie level is +2. And then at an average level, +3. So Coffee is excellent. His cool is 0. That's the only thing I don't like about him. But eventually when he becomes an ace, his cool is 2, his SA is 2, he's +3. So Coffee is another good one. And so they basically gave us 3 excellent Tomcats, and then they gave us an excellent elite Tomcat. So there is no shortage of great Tomcats. And now that you got this expansion. And then now Corsairs are something that I'll typically take because they give you 12 SO points as well, and they can be used as a bomber. So they have 7 weight points. They're not bad. I take Corsairs all the time. Just to help give me SO point relief. We did not get any new ones of those, but I want to show you, Kraken is my favorite intruder. As an ace, he gets a +3, a 1, but then as an average, I'm already getting +2 at average level, and let's see, when does he, so he's green at 0, so average is where he really shines. He has a +2. And then he doesn't get his cool until a little bit later, once he becomes skilled. But Kraken is a really good intruder to have. Well, they give you another intruder, but it's one of those elite ones. And in the elite, I'm just looking around. I don't think they gave us any more. So with the elite intruder, it will cost 6 SO points, which is a bit cheaper. And at an ace level, you get your +3, you have your 1, you have your 1. But look at this, 14. And then he's got Wingman. So this guy's meant to suppress other people in order to get experience points. But look at this, 14 experience, 12. I mean, you have to use his Wingman skill. You're never going to level this guy up. Trident is rated low for me. I vote no to Trident. They do give you this, which if you're willing to spend 12 SO points, you can ignore the weight point penalties. Otherwise, you're spending 1 SO point per plane on a mission for weight points. So if you have 6 planes on a mission, that would cost you 6 SO points. So you have to decide if this is really worth it for you. This resource would cost you 12, and then you would take him. He doesn't count towards your plane limit. It's basically something that just lets you go deep, and you don't have to worry about the weight point penalties ever again. So that's those. There's a big price for those. I don't know if it's worth it. These let you, this is my Millennial plane. They let you tantrum because you don't like the target event card, so you can try to have your student dent erased for free. That's basically what this one is. So here you got a -6. You have to pay 6 points for a plane that lets you roll a die, and sometimes you'll roll high enough so you can ignore the event card. As you can tell, I'm not very impressed with this one. And then lastly is this one, which gives you SO points. This is like a little vehicle that has a really great air-to-ground. It does equip MK-82s, AIM-9s, and rockets. So you would probably use it. It lets you have an extra combat turn. That's what that does. As long as he's over the target, you'll get an extra combat turn, and you get SO points for taking these guys. I'm still on the fence on how to use these. Obviously, you could use them for suppression. Like this would be really good because of the +3 air-to-ground and the fact that they only can equip themselves with 3 things, and rockets is one of them. So you can use them to just suppress things for you, and then you get an extra combat round, which might help you to destroy that pesky target. All right, that's my summary of everything. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'm going to try to get something set up, and maybe we can get a game going very soon. Thanks for watching. Stay awesome.